I'm still in awe of just the piece of land itself. When I saw this land, if you just look at this land and, without any context, and you ask somebody where in the United States is this land located, somebody's going to say Kansas. The last thing they're going to think is New York City. I mean, an
Absolutely.
unbelievable piece of land. And I would imagine that for many charter school leaders, one of the biggest challenges they have is often finding space. And so, like, they all got to be very jealous of what you of this great fortune your school has
Well,
had here.
everybody's going to be able to come and
Enjoy
take
it.
advantage of it. So yeah.
So, can I get a little bit more backstory on how this came together? Because I would imagine that a lot of folks in the public and private sector, I'm sure, would love to be able to get their hands on this incredible piece of land in New York City. How did it come to be that this group of schools got to use this land for these really important educational purposes?
Yeah, I think one clarifying point is that we don't get all 1,000 acres, and we wouldn't need it, right? Even when we talk about tens of thousands of students, I mean, it's an area that's bigger than Central Park, right? I mean, it's enormous.
Mhm.
Yeah, the origin story is a good one. We were this piece of land sort of juts off of the end of Brooklyn, and often people will only pass it if they're driving by to go over a bridge that actually goes out to Queens and the Rockaways and some of the beaches that people go to out there. And you still might not actually know what it is as you pass by. We were aware of this piece of land, and there was an old climbing tower that was out there. We took our staff out there maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point, to do some team building prior to the start of the school year. And we were all out there, a number of us, and we started to look around and just say, wait a second, it's this old airport. All the buildings are falling down. I mean, there's really not much there at all. And it was just a moment of like, what could this be? We really didn't know at the time. That took a lot of community input to say this is something that it could be. And my own understanding of the various attempts to try to develop Floyd Bennett Field, they are long and varied, and involve, folks from tiny organizations up to the federal government trying to figure out what could be sort of the next evolution of this piece of land that will really honor the public and public access and be something transformational. Again, a piece of land bigger than Central Park. How many people go to Central Park every year, right?
Yeah.
If you think of Governor's Island in New York, Governor's Island is an island that sits in the middle of New York Harbor. For those folks that don't know, that if you go back just a few years ago, right, the only way to get out there is a ferry. Absolutely nobody went out there ever for any reason. And there was an effort put into Governor's Island, which included, by the way, putting a school on it to really try to develop it for public use and for public good. And over 1 million people a year go there. And when you think about those numbers, you can kind of put into perspective, okay, well, Floyd Bennett Field is similar to that, but it's 10 times the size. We're talking about millions of people that could access, this area for a lot of different reasons. And one of those reasons that we're just so excited about, right, is a big focus on education and for the benefit, of New York City's public school children. And that's not something, I think, that if there is a big piece of land that could be developed, is typically thought of, right, from a development perspective to say,
Right.
well, how could we use this to support, public school kids in being able to learn? And so I think it's a really exciting component of it.